This is your daily dose of all things royal.
And you mentioned earlier off camera that although Prince Harry has a head of state A1 visa,
And you mentioned earlier off camera that although Prince Harry has a head of state A1 visa,
due to Meghan Markle being a US citizen, both Archie and Lilibet will be able to qualify as US citizens.
Especially Lilibet is a very interesting case because she was born in the United States. It's not true at all, but if Meghan Markle wasn't a US citizen and if she had an A1 head of state spousal visa.
Well, what do we have here? Looks like the cat is out of the bag, isn't it? How would this woman know that Harry is on an A1 visa? And notice that she did not say that it was Prince Harry. Obviously not true. She talks about Meghan Markle, but that was not what this gentleman said. He had said off camera, you mentioned that Harry is on an A1 visa.
And you mentioned earlier off camera that although Prince Harry has a head of state A1 visa,
she was born in the United States. It's not true at all, but if Meghan Markle wasn't a US citizen and if she had an A1 head of state spousal visa.
We know that Meghan doesn't have it. So why didn't she correct this interviewer by saying, no, Harry does not have a head of state A1 visa? The key thing is that she didn't. So either she's extremely sloppy or she knows something that we don't. If that's the case, then this woman broke immigration law because the whole point to this lawsuit is contesting that Harry's privacy had been thrown out the window once he wrote that book Spare. And the American people have the right to know about his admittance into the United States, whether or not he lied on his application, about his drug use, and whether or not he sought a waiver or did he get special privileges and was allowed to come on in without having to fill out these forms because he has this A1 visa. Putting aside this major slip up by this immigration lawyer for a second, when we look at the purpose of this article, does anyone think that this is newsworthy? Like, no one cares whether or not little Betty is a US citizen. And if Meghan was on an A1 visa, then she wouldn't be a US citizen. Like, who cares? First, prove that this child does exist. Second, what about Archie? What's his deal?
Then Lilibet would be this very unusual exception to the rule that anyone born in the United States is a US citizen.
Okay,
Just a funny thing to think about.
Now, another reason why this visa information is important, it's not just the information about the application on whether or not he lied. The Heritage Foundation had filled out requesting to see everything now. So in this little packet is going to be the flight logs of him traveling back and forth, entering in, exiting the United States. So the question becomes, on those flight logs, who was with him? Was it just Meghan? Did they really take the kids over to the UK? Also, if the birth certificate was sealed for Archie, as well as no one can find any birth certificate for little Betty, then what passports did they use to travel with those children? In the US, every child has to have a passport, regardless of age. The other thing I want to add, or actually reiterate, is that I do believe that Harry was here on an A1 visa when he came over here. The year that the Queen gave him to rumspringer it out, do the work of supporting the Biden election campaign and interfering with our elections, when February of 2021 came around and the Queen stripped his patronages because they were not coming back, I think that's when this A1 visa expired or was revoked. I also think that at the same time, the reason why he got this job with Better Up was because of this visa situation to move over onto now a work visa. I suspect, and you would think that this would be the way that they would go, is that he would get a spousal visa. But if there's no intention to stay and become a citizen here in the United States, then perhaps maybe he didn't think that a spousal visa was necessary, because legitimately, if you have a spousal visa, the intention is to become eventually one day an American citizen. The final point that I want to make on this is that there has been no developments on this visa situation. The fact that it's taken so long leads me to believe that they see something in Harry's file that they need to figure out. Whether it be something to do with the US government in covering up for him or something else, there is a problem because this should not take so long to come back and say, yes, we can release this information, or no, we can't release this information because it's jeopardizing his privacy. Now, for the few that are adamant that Harry doesn't have a head of state A1 visa, because he doesn't live in DC and he doesn't have plates on his car that show that he's a diplomat. Perhaps you might be right, but at the same time, right now here in the United States, the rules do not apply to people like Harry and Meghan. And we know this. There are rules for us and the regular people, and then there's a different set of rules for people like Harry. And this is a status that we'll never understand, and quite frankly, it is possible that he could have had this diplomat visa on special privilege, but not have to do all the other stuff, if you know what I'm saying. And that is a possibility, so I wouldn't rule it out. In 2020, I am certain Harry had that head of state A1 visa, but at some point, this thing was revoked, and I do believe maybe this is where they're trying to figure out what they can tell us and what they can't, because I do believe that under that type of special visa, nothing can be disclosed about them. We'll just have to wait and see on what they come back with and how they spin the narrative. My faith in the justice system right now is pretty low, considering what we witnessed with the Markle versus Markle case, and then recently here in New York City with the Trump case. We just have to hope that the judge does the right thing and is not corrupted like some of these other judges that we are seeing right now. But anyhow, what do you guys think? As always, definitely leave your thoughts below and I will be back with more content, but make sure you are subscribed and have your notification bell on so you don't miss any of the updates and developments that are surrounding Harry's visa case. And on that note, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye!
I was such a fraud.